Loud. Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here once again. It's September 1st, 2021. Who can believe it? We're still here. And in case you're watching this 10 years from now, hi, Richie Rich. 10 years from now, we're still in the middle of COVID. At least I'm taking it very seriously. In fact, I'm going to a party at a big patio around my cousin's pool. Everybody's going to be double vaxxed on Labor Day, but there's 2 kids there, and I'm kind of nervous about that, right? I'm wondering.
Yeah. Nobody's going to be watching this in 10 years.
Yeah, you want to make a bet? You want to make a bet? What about this, though? Can I feel comfortable eating finger food at a party during the COVID outside?
Yeah, just make sure you lick your fingers clean so you don't get any, and you don't contaminate anything.
You want to spread your germs over their germs.
Okay. Yes, it's like a germ warfare kind of thing.
Okay.
Germ stocking.
The guest today is a guy who's had a big struggle to get here. Time after time, he finally made it. His name is Jason Gorham. Is that how you say your last name, Gorham? Gorham. You don't have a personal website that you want to give us, do you?
My personal one is just talentxi.io. It's just really a static page, so.
He doesn't have a website. Okay, but he's got a LinkedIn profile if you want to see it there. Now, I'll just introduce the other guys. Oh, you know what? I got this music playing in the background, and I forgot to turn it off, and it's distracting me.
Can't hear a thing.
Can't hear anything.
Okay, but I can hear it. There, it's gone. Okay, and I was also looking at pictures of Katie Telford. None of you guys know who she is, okay? She's the Prime Minister's secretary, his number one, most powerful woman in Ottawa, okay? If everybody just say it wasn't porn, okay? Okay, it was politics.
It's a trivia.
It was politics. Okay.
It's like saying the most powerful girl in 3rd grade, you know?
Anyway, well, her boss, we call him Mr. Dress Up here. He likes to dress up. Okay, so the salesrecruiter.com, that's Michael G. Cox, and cornerstonesearch.com, Richie Rich down there, and Jason Gorham. Give us your URL again, Jason.
talentxi.io.
Talent, can they find a link to your LinkedIn profile there?
I don't think so, but I'll add it.
What do these people do? He creates himself a personal page with no link to his profile. Give me a break. Okay, but you wanna plug something about technology patents, okay? Like he says to me, I'm eager to talk about technology patents. Yeah, but I got an audience of recruiters. That's not what they want to talk about. Use your head. But I'll let you plug it. Okay, go ahead. You got a minute. Why do you want to talk about technology patents?
Well, HR tech is kind of my claim to fame. I was actually the first person to create, I don't know if create's the right word, but I definitely patented pay-per-click or sponsored jobs. So,
cool.
Yeah. So
How come you're not a multimillionaire? How come you're still working?
Yeah, I should have prefaced that. Every single person I tell that story to, I have more fame than fortune. I mean,
you're one of these guys like Woz. He creates the Apple, but he never would have made a nickel on it if it wasn't for that goof Steve, his buddy, Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm Tesla, not.
Yeah, maybe you can. I'm going to give you a tip, okay? I'm not Steve Jobs. Maybe you can adjust your camera so you're not down at the bottom of a hole for us. We can actually see your face. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so is that it? Is that all you wanted to say? I notice on your LinkedIn, you've got schematics about your patent and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay, it took me 6 years to get approved to create. The patent office is like any insurance company. They deny every single patent that you create. And I will, funny story about the patent. So it takes you all this time, all this money, all the patent examiners, they could get a wheel.
Yeah, we've lost him. Can you hear him? Can anybody hear him?
I can.
You cut off just a little bit. You say everybody's cutting it off to get a wheel.
You know what? That was a hint from above. they said, this is not the topic for this show. Okay, here's the topic. Here's the topic. You claim that you make all these kind of demonstrations, I guess, in-house at your company of HR tech. Do you have any HR tech or specifically recruiting technology that you're really enthusiastic about and you want Richie Rich to know? Okay, he's always excited. So's Michael G. Cox. These guys are always checking out things that are new and actually taking the time to experiment with them. Do you want to recommend anything that's going to get them slavering so we can see their tongues hanging out right on this show?
Yeah, so I'm a big Duck Soup guy for LinkedIn. I'm using Duck Soup, Seamless AI, and Zapier is always a great connecting tool. So,
Do you really like Seamless? I've yet to hear anyone use Seamless for more than a month and been like, this is phenomenal. I always say it's got a cool gong, but I thought the data's all commercial data. You can find that any place for free.
yeah, I like it. I've used Zoom Info. I like if you business emails, it's pretty good. I've tested it against Seek Out and got better results than Seek Out.
Okay, people
So.
don't even know what it is. Okay, what is Seamless.ai? Rich Rosen's against it. Okay, no, you can say, Jason, if you got it, go ahead. What is it?
No, it's a contact aggregator. It's like Seek Out. It's like Zoom
It's finding
Info.
out people's contact information. Yes? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
okay. You like it, and you've got Mr. Moneymaker here, okay, saying it's not as good as, you love Swordfish, right, Richie Rose?
I like it. This is I like Swordfish. I use Swordfish as my number one.
You go around all over Facebook saying, I like Swordfish.
I like Swordfish.
But when I say it, yeah.
Well, because you're
There
going to
you
some
go.
little kiddie party. I don't know if I can associate with you. This little kid party you're going to. God.
I know that's kind of creepy.
Really, I know. Are you wearing the hat to the party? That's what we need to know.
I don't know.
Picks.
Depends on the weather.
Those
I
picks.
told Michael G. Cox it's only 68 here today, okay? Summer's over.
Yes.
Yeah,
68
it's
here in Boston too. You're
91
right.
here.
Oh, okay.
It's
68 in
91
Boston too.
here.
But no, Swordfish pre-contact tool are great. I mean, but none of them are perfect. You gotta have multiple tools. I just find if you're going to get business stuff, I mean, Seamless is fine, but Zoom Info is way too expensive and it's not that good. We've tested, a bunch of us tested it all, and you can find a lot more accuracy, I find, with Swordfish or pre-contact.
Jason, why is he wrong, according to you?
I don't think he's wrong. I completely agree. Zoom Info is extremely expensive.
How could you just endorsed it? Didn't you? Maybe my memory's no good.
I said Zoom Info is way too expensive. I agreed with him there.
And the recruiting product is overpriced too. Don't even go.
What about
Yeah.
Seamless is costly as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. It's a lot cheaper than Zoom. And
Yeah,
you
Pre-contact
can get
is
started
probably
free.
the cheapest.
Michael G. Cox,
So-
what are your favorite contact finders? Since the other two guys,
I really
I
don't
heard Michael
use
likes
them very much.
OnlyFans as contact, right?
you don't use them. Oh, why? Because their sales guys aren't hard to find. You're
Correct.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
They're
Oh,
on LinkedIn.
Right. Yeah. Okay. He's also in sales. Okay. Jason, since you're bragging that you're a tech guy and that's your claim to fame, why are people why are they always complaining every day about their ATS? And I'm looking for a new ATS. What's wrong with applicant tracking systems that people are trading them like baseball cards?
It's the same problem that I've been saying since early 2000s. It's a tracking system, applicant tracking. It's gonna move from this bucket to this bucket to this bucket. There's a big difference between an ATS, a CRM, an HRIS, a contact tool. So select best in breed. Everybody's always pushing these ATSs to do more than what they're designed to do.
Okay, so all you're saying it's not the difference between the specific applicant tracking systems, it's the problem. But the problem is that these stupid recruiters are trying to use them for something they're not made for. Is that right?
Exactly.
Michael G. Cox
Exactly.
likes to talk about CRMs. Okay, so I'll let him comment on that. Are you Yes, you do. Okay, you
No,
do.
dude, I use a CRM that I got for free, man. I mean,
You didn't get it
Yeah.
for free. You bought it cheap, just like I did. Okay, and I don't use it, but you say you do.
yeah.
Which one do
Okay,
you
so
use?
somebody gave
Wait,
me
wait,
one
which
license, and
CRM do you
I've been
use?
using it for free.
Which free
It's
one
a
are you using?
lifetime deal.
Sales
For
Flare.
which?
Sales
Sales
Flare.
Flare. Okay, but hold on. So do you like a CRM and you think it's the opposite of an ATS or very different? And you, okay, next question.
Listen, wait, wait,
Strike
hang on.
Who is
Okay,
that?
wait,
Who's
wait, hang
that
on.
for?
Who are you
Who's
talking
the
to?
question for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was for my.
I was talking to Michael G. Cox.
Oh,
What's
okay.
wrong?
So on the CRM side, I use Outplay that really just keeps me in line with what I need to do
I thought it was
today.
Sales Flare.
No. So Sales Flare is a nice play. Seriously, I don't really use very much on the CRM side. Everything
You
is
don't
getting
need to.
plugged into Outplay,
Yeah.
and it just tells me what I need to do today.
I've never heard of Outplay. Does anyone else?
Outplay is campaign management. Yeah,
Okay.
it's another campaign management solution. It's great. It ties
It's
right
a
into
drip.
Freelance.
It's a
Hey,
drip.
Here's
It's
a
a drip
question.
campaign.
You know what? I'm going to move on from the
It's
technology.
drip, but it's not doing it for you. It's automating the user, not the task.
It automates the email part.
Mhm.
Not, but you still, but it'll remind you to do call.
One,
You can do
no,
drop
I got a
calls, you
question.
can do
Duck
emails,
Soup.
and,
Duck Soup is something. DUX Soup is a tool that lets you send out multiple connection requests on LinkedIn. As far as I know, I've never used it actually because I'm afraid that it would get me kicked off LinkedIn. Isn't that a big consideration, Jason? You didn't mention that.
Yeah, it is. It is. You have to watch the throttling. LinkedIn has locked you down to, I think, 125 or 150 invites per week.
100.
100 now. Okay. So you just got to be careful how many invites you're sending. They'll shut your invites off. You got to watch your messaging. It's
There are
probably
ways
one
around
of the,
that.
Sounds like
Yeah.
kryptonite to me. I'm not going to use it. Okay. Now, here's this woman, Jill. I won't mention her last name. She's some kind of tech super recruiter. And Jason's also a technical recruiter. And she said that people should look for jobs just after they get promoted. Okay. Because even if they got more money at their current company, they're still not getting what they're worth. They could get more money at another company. Plus, they can use their new title to get a better job. So, I mean, if somebody is very marketable for themselves, like should be in the job hunt right after they got promoted, they might as well recruiters target them as well. But won't the employer, the question that came to my mind, won't the employer say, this person just got a raise and just got promoted, and she's out looking for jobs already? I don't know. She's just a headache waiting to happen. Jason, would you agree with me, or what's your take on that?
Yeah,
Recruiting
really, if
people
I look
who
at-
just got promoted. What?
Yeah, so it depends on how long they've been promoted, right? So if they've been
Just got
promoted,
promoted like a week or two or a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't even consider them, to be honest with you. They
Yeah.
just got promoted. They've been in the role for a hot minute. What have they learned? So I wouldn't necessarily recommend them or even hire them. I mean,
Rich, moving fast now.
No, I don't waste my time with them. I mean, unless their rest of their background's perfect, they went to some dumpster fire. I don't, why would you bother?
Okay, so you're saying, that you wouldn't grab them because they look weird, or what if they're a good
No,
candidate?
I mean, if they look good, I mean, if their whole background's great and they went to, they made a bad choice. They went to a bad company. They're
Well,
doing
what
tons
if
of
they're at a
turnover.
good company, but you can get them more money?
Yeah,
Was the
I
fact
wouldn't
that they
bother.
just got promoted, would that be a negative for you?
Got promoted or just changed jobs, changed companies?
They got promoted inside
promoted?
their
Yeah, I'll
own
follow.
company. What's wrong
Yeah.
today? Come
Well,
on, wake
because
up.
it's a dumb question. Yeah, if they didn't change companies, who cares?
This
if they just
recruiter
got
said
promoted.
she's booked until the end of the year. I don't know what that means, but she's very popular. Okay, she's much
You
loved.
cut out. You cut out.
I cut out. You can't hear me.
she said she's booked till the end of the year. She's booked with what?
I don't know her clients. Michael G. Cox.
Was she a hooker? I mean, what do you do?
Don't say that. Don't say that. We'll get.
You
in
cut out.
trouble.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank God I didn't mention her last name. What about you, Michael G. Cox? if you wait a second, I want to hear
I'm
what
booked.
the sales recruiter. No, I don't want to hear that you're booked. You are calling somebody and she just got promoted. Would that be a negative for you if she was willing to look at another company? You know that, hey, she's just moved up and yet she wants to leave already. Is that a negative for you?
No. So I here's the thing. That a lot. Some of the factors are how desperate are you? I mean, are you like freaking out because you can't find a candidate? Now, I'm probably let's say they promoted this individual into a senior sales role. That person has never been in that major account, enterprise account executive type role. I'm not going to be recruiting that individual for that enterprise position, especially if they've only been in it for 2 months.
Okay, you know what? I thought this was interesting. Nobody here thinks it is. I can tell.
As soon as somebody started making sense, it's no longer interesting. Screw that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what
There's
Michael
so
G. Cox
many factors, like if they're active or passive.
He doesn't want
you know.
factors. He wants yes or no.
Okay,
Yeah,
I want to now.
exactly. It's interesting until you start to talk about it.
Okay, Rich Rosen. I have a beautiful quote from him, and that's what I want to talk about as well. You just led into it, Jason. Richie Rich says, "Is it crazy to think that the best people for your client's opening may not be in active search mode and may need more of a push than an email to consider a move?" Yeah, right. So
Absolutely.
that's in favor. I love that. Okay, that's a
That's
point for
recruiting.
Rich. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else think that this recruiting by email alone is a very bad thing? What about you, Jason? You make phone calls?
I don't make a lot of calls, but what I will do is in-mail, cross-reference like their in-mail profile, connect with them, and then probably email. I haven't really moved to the text, like corporate America, or if I email them directly to their business
Rich
account.
Wrong because he's overgeneralizing from his own little domain of salespeople and techies like you're hiring. They don't like it when you phone them. Is that true, Jason?
It
Mr.
doesn't
Know-it-all.
matter. It
Mr.
doesn't matter
Know-it-all
what
might
they
be
like.
wrong. Go ahead.
I don't think he's wrong. I mean, salespeople are used to being on the phone. Technical people are used to being heads down coders. I think it's your audience. And personally, to me, I think you got to drip everywhere and then see what happens.
What do you mean drip everywhere? What does that mean?
So a drip campaign is
That's that
typically
hooker
you'll
issue.
do an opening, if you send an email, you'll do an opening email.
waiting
If
for
they
that.
don't get back to you in a week, you'll
Too
send
easy.
them another different email. If they don't get back to you the
So
next
you're
week,
a
drop
person
them.
who believes in pestering people with emails as opposed to phoning them. Is that right? Yeah.
I think he's
sir.
saying
Yes.
pester them
I mean,
everywhere. So again,
Yeah.
I would say
Phone,
if you're
email,
connected directly,
email.
a LinkedIn message. If you're not, an email, a text, a phone call, an email, dude.
You never know what's going to
Yep.
work. You don't know if they're getting your email. You don't
But
know if they're getting your
Analytics.
voicemail. You don't know if they're
Analytics.
seeing your text. So you got to do them all.
Exactly. Now check this out, Rich.
Yep.
Maybe phone will work like 8% of the time or whatever. But I bet that would work a whole lot more if you sent a message, if you texted them,
Mhm.
if you emailed them. Suddenly the phone works better because they saw your name everywhere and
Agreed.
some of it made sense.
So for me, I do emails. Everyone gets a blast of an email the night before. Some personalized, some not personalized. And then you follow up with a phone call the next day. And then maybe a text the next 2 days later. But it's funny. I find more people still get offended by text than anything else. They're
Really?
like, I don't know you. This is
How'd you get my
only for
number?
personal. Yeah.
Bullshit.
I mean, it's like
If you call them, they're okay. But if you text them,
well, because if they call, you just say, hey, look, I'm following up to my email. And, I don't know what your situation is, but, I thought you may be open to an opportunity. And they'll say, no.
Well, what if you said to them, look, don't be a dinosaur. This is the way business works today. Okay. I'm just modern. Okay. I'm contemporary. Okay. And now
maybe if you preface like the message saying like something like, I'm a headhunter, I got your your information off of the internets
Like,
Off
and
the internet.
the
or wherever
interweb.
your stuff
Off
is
of
out
the
there.
interweb.
Yeah, you could start out like a text message that says your information is out there.
Okay.
I got it, and
That's
I'm
not
texting
creepy.
you because of this. And I sent you a message on LinkedIn. Interested or not?
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on a second. Wait a sec. There's something for people who don't know Rich, okay, they have to know he's a no limit guy, okay? Okay. It's just not
No
that he
holds
sends you
barred.
an email the night before and calls you in the morning. If you don't get back to him, he's going to do that until you do, okay? I want
Exactly.
to ask Jason, with his famous drip campaigns, how many drips are you going to drip on somebody before you give up? 3?
Three emails.
It's not even
What I
annoying.
have found, what's that?
There's so much more to go.
Yeah, but I think there's difference between agency versus corporates.
Yeah.
What I have found recently are in-mail analytics are terrible. People are just not responding to email. I believe, this is my own belief, I believe LinkedIn is throttling data. I think people are getting hammered with in-mails, and I have seen acceptance rates plummet just off the charts.
Yeah, I agree.
And has that affected your behavior, that you've shifted more to email? Yeah? Okay.
Correct. Yep.
You should
Okay.
shift
Yep.
more to phone calls now. It won't have that
Yes.
problem.
You know what,
And-
Rich, I really
and-
think the
And no
engineers
texting.
don't like phone calls, okay? I mean,
No, they don't. They don't like them like sales guys. But you know what? I just placed 2 super technical. They're sales engineers, but they're more engineering than sales guys. So they're kind of same. They're coders. They're programmers. You know what? They're fine. I've got personal friends that are coders and programmers. You know what? They still talk on the phone.
Okay, I got to. You guys have now segued me. That means moved me into another question that I had
Yes,
prepared.
Canadians
But Jason,
are
I'm Jason. It's time
Settle
sensitive.
a boot.
This might be his last. I mean, he's going for an eye doctor appointment. Although, you're welcome to talk to us from the office there if you want.
Yeah, I'll do a tour.
Okay, but this is a tech question, Jason. Priya Shefna, she's been a guest here a few times. What tools do you guys recommend for ATS integrated texting? She says, we use Recruiter Flow and Twilio. However, I don't like that Twilio charges you per message. I've used Text Recruit and Sense in the past and really like them, but I want to see what else is out there. So this is ATS integrated texting tools. What would you recommend, Jason, if any?
I haven't used a lot of them. I know emissaries out there, Textio's out there. Twilio is actually, if you can correct me if I'm
How
wrong,
about text them all?
Twilio's the actual. There you go.
Or just
So
have a voice program
Twilio's
and
the
use Ring
actual
Central.
delivery.
I use my thumbs.
Yeah.
I'm a cheap recruiter.
Okay, you didn't have a Twilio? What was your comment on Twilio?
So Twilio is the delivery mechanism. They're not actually a texting tool. Like, I'm
So
pretty
you're
sure
saying
that
Priya doesn't know what she's talking about. Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, animals stirring the pot again.
Okay.
I said, correct me if I'm wrong.
Anyone else want to
everything.
comment on texting
If you-
tools?
If you're using Crelate or PCR or any normal, ATS, you can usually integrate Ring Central.
Oh yeah, someone said Ring
Yeah.
Central. You
I mean, you can
endorse
text
that?
right from Ring Central. It records into your database. You can do bulk texting.
But
I
not
mean,
at the on the average on the agency level, yeah, but not typically corporate.
Yeah, but I mean-
Workday.
But corporate, you
won't
can
work
usually
with
do it
Ring
through
Central.
that's when they use the Twilios and stuff. But even then, a lot of companies still have Ring Central as their phone system. Like I do startups, a lot of them use Ring Central or other VoIP systems, and it's built in. Lever and Greenhouse may not allow it, but I mean,
Someone
That's
else
what I'm
raved about Line 2. Line 2. Anybody heard of it? Line 2? No?
What is it?
It's another texting, one of these texting tools.
Text recruit.
Yeah.
Recruiting
I've
text.
used text them all in the past.
Okay,
It
text
worked
them all.
okay.
Okay, is that it? Okay, so we're at 12:27. Is it time for you to go, Jason? I don't want you to miss
I'm
your
gonna
eye
hang
appointment.
out for a couple more minutes.
Okay.
I'm in Florida and I had to drive west to actually get a good signal. So
Mm.
Where in
gonna have
Florida?
to- I'm in Naples.
Oh, my old stomping ground. I used to live there and in Fort Myers.
Yep,
I have a cousin who lives
exactly.
down near there.
We
Okay,
used to count teeth for a living down there.
count teeth.
Did you ever get above 3 or?
No, quite
What's the
often.
over
It's
and
just,
under?
Yeah.
my
I
goodness,
said I'm going to the eye doctor, not the dentist.
a lot of gap tooth smiles down there.
Okay, here's
And you would figure that last one, they would take care of it really well, but it was always like a little baked bean, right? Just like,
I haven't gone to the dentist for like a year and a half because of COVID. Anybody else stay away? No?
I've
Yeah, I've
been.
got coffee stains on my lower teeth now. Okay, so, but I don't meet anybody, so I don't care. Okay, hold on
You
a sec.
digress.
Okay, long process interviews. This got a lot of argument, and it made people angry. This person had at Zoom apparently had 8 interviews and then was rejected. And one guy said, this is what happens when a company has someone in charge who isn't confident in their own decision-making skills and tries to pawn that responsibility off onto a dysfunctional systemic process that does nothing but impede whatever that organization is trying to accomplish.
that's a lot of words.
Yeah, it is.
I
But
will.
you know what? He used to call that guy.
Lots of companies.
Yeah.
Lots of companies still do it. Lots of companies, 6 to 8. I have a friend of mine that has been talking to TikTok for over a year. Over a year with 6 to 8 interviews at least.
They're not interested in that guy. That's my take on it. Anybody agree with me?
Dude, yeah, if they can't get off and make a decision, move on, man.
Okay.
My
how many
concern is, why
interviews-
is this guy still waiting around for TikTok to come
Wait a
back
sec.
at him?
How many interviews, Michael G. Cox, thesalesrecruiter.com, do you recommend?
2 or 3, man. I've got one client, like Fortune 100 organization. They only do 3, but for like a certain section of the organization that does software, they'll do 2 really quick ones, but it's like a really quick one, and then one that's like 2.5 to 3 hours, and then a final 30-minute conversation.
Okay, if somebody wanted to go for 6 or 7 interviews, your client, would you say, look, I'm not doing this search, okay? We're going to lose that. I'm going to work my ass off to bring somebody in, and we're going to lose them while you're stretching things out. Will you say, I'm out of here like Rich Rosen would, okay?
Nobody has ever copped to that. It happens, but at the front end, when I say, okay, so what's your process? What's your process?
What's your process?
What's your process? And they'll say, oh yeah, it's real quick. This interview, then we go into an offer stage. Awesome. 7 interviews later, I'm like, seriously? What happened to the process?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
no,
but
no,
like, I just had
what are you
The
just
process, we
complaining?
want to add one more person. We just want one more.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
more.
But I mean, I
Last
tell
one.
them up front, when you present the candidate, literally you got like 2.5 weeks tops, or you're going to lose them. It doesn't matter if you've got, 50 people that want to meet him or 3, he's not going to be there to meet them anyway. So you just set it up front. Here's the pressure you've got. And then, like I had a client, they were telling me their tech screen for these tech engineers would take anywhere from 5 to 8 hours to get the tech screen done alone. And I was like, you're absolutely nuts. I'm like, if I was going to do an 8-hour project for you, I'd send you a bill, before I sent you the answers to my test. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, let's cut it down to 2 hours. If they can't figure it out in 2 hours and you can't show what you need, then something's wrong. And you're
Will
not
you
looking for
refuse?
assistance.
Hold on. Wait a sec. You know what? Did the guest just leave us without saying goodbye?
Oh, he's still here. You just can't see him.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
He's at the
I'm
eye
just
doctor now.
driving.
That's why you can't see. He
Yeah,
can't see. You
maybe.
can't see.
Yeah, but hold
I'm
on. Michael,
driving and I can't see while I'm
Yeah.
driving.
Michael G. Cox didn't answer the question, and Rich hasn't answered clearly either.
It was like, what are you talking about? It was completely clear.
No. If they say, when you're doing the intake session, I assume you ask them, what's your hiring process? And when they say an 8-hour test, you say, look, I'm not going to work on this search. This is what I expect from you, Rich, to guide us with that. Have a backbone. I'm not going to work on this search if you're going to make it impossible to fill. Isn't that what you?
Listen, 1, nothing is black and white. 2,
Yes,
tell them,
it is.
it is
Okay.
not. It is a million reasons
Black
why you may or may
and
not work
white.
on certain things. No. There's No, I mean, I explained to him, like, listen, this is going to cost you, time and energy, because people aren't going to, finish it. People want to do it. And he's like, well, if he says, hey, listen, then those aren't the people we want. I'm like, all right, well, it depends on the search. I mean,
You know what? Everybody, hold on a sec. I got to say, interrupt me, Jason, if you have to go. I want you to be able
He's already
to.
gone.
Jason's gone.
Now he's gone?
no, he's gone. He didn't say bye.
Thanks for dropping in. Hold on a second, everybody. I want to say this guy, Rich Rosen, has disappointed me. Okay. I looked at
Yet
him
again.
I looked at him with those hulking shoulders for backbone. He's the guy who should be telling me, don't put up with any nonsense, because he's always telling us, fire your client.
You're
no
right.
way.
There's a time to fire your client, and there's a time not to fire your
real
client.
life situation. That's why I love examples. Okay.
Well, because listen, this is the example I'm giving you.
I would tell them you're going to lose somebody. Okay,
Hey, Rich, how about this? Rather than, because I did this recently, I don't know if it's going to work, but I told a client out of Chicago, I didn't fire the client. I just said, I can't work on your stuff right now.
Yeah.
And I gave them reasons, like, you guys are changing the target, and it's really busy right now, so I can't continue to work on these unless we set the process in stone and whatever, because I give them what they want, and then they say, no, we actually want this instead. Are you actually telling them I will never work with you again, kind of thing?
No,
or are you saying not right now?
No, I said this exact conversation this morning. The same thing. There's certain clients I just say, you know what, F you, because the manager may just be a complete a-hole. Yep. But, like clients this morning, they're not a bad company, and it's not a bad opportunity. But, the fee is my lowest fee. So I get 22% or 20%, whatever it's at. And, they've hired one guy in 6 months from me, and everyone always gets to the finish line, but then they screw it up somehow, or they take too long, and there's all these restrictions. And I told them this morning, I'm like, listen, you guys, you're too restrictive in your profile. The quite frankly, there's A, B, and C reasons why you're not right. Plus, you're the lowest fee I've got. I'm like, I'd love to work all day on these searches, but it's not worth it. I've got clients paying me retainers, and they're hiring more frequently. You guys find reasons why not to hire. And he's like, well, so he told me, he's like, well, you haven't sent us the right people. I'm like, every person I've sent you got a job within 2 weeks of the final interview with you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it can't be every person I've sent. It's your process and the people involved. And because they're age restrictive and they don't accept moves, all this other stuff, their pool is too small.
Yep.
So,
I'm
but
curious. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Something I like that you just did. I'm going to compliment him now, everybody. He told them, look,
hey, Rich, this is still recording, by the way.
Thank you. I got to get
this later.
I'm above your pay grade. Okay.
Yeah.
You are the lowest. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to waste my time on you. That takes some guts. Okay. I'm going to be frank. Don't screw around with me. You're not paying me enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Okay. But this other question, you said they'll drag it out, and then at the end, something goes wrong. What do you mean at the end something goes wrong?
Oh, there we go. Now we're back.
Oh, he didn't hear a thing I said. Okay.
I didn't. I missed it. My phone rang. I missed it.
Okay. I complimented you. If you want,
what normally goes wrong at the end of that?
Yeah, you said at the end of the process something goes wrong. What goes wrong?
Process.
Yeah, the process. So sometimes, I mean, honestly, sometimes it was the candidate's fault, and sometimes it was the client's fault. They took too long, or they were just like, nah, he didn't pass, didn't do well in this thing, or didn't do well in that. But I'm like, give me an example of where did he do well? And it's just like, well, we just don't know. And I'm like, well, that's kind of bullshit. It doesn't really work. But, most of these times it was I had a candidate that asked for too much money because he didn't listen to me. I had, there was different things.
We were talking about firing clients, okay? Now you're talking about candidates.
Well, that's what you said. What wrong with the candidates?
You asked about what happens at the end of that long process.
But the context was,
process.
Okay, that these stupid clients have 8 interviews, and he said, don't drag it out because at the end something goes wrong, okay?
No, that's 2 different things. That was a specific client. But most of my clients are 4 interviews, maybe 5.
Let me go to a related question, okay?
Wait, more importantly, hey, you always complain about my mic. I got a mic. Does it sound better?
Oh, you know what? It is much better.
Yes, it does.
It's much better. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Thumbs up. I have to show you the problems I've had with my thumbs this year one day, okay? I can't get them both in this picture. Okay, what about panel interviews? The same guy. This is a guy who used to call in to the show when it was just audio, and then he would stay on for Jerry's show and cut me up like crazy. He hates my guts. But I
missed the after show.
I call him the Candy Man, and he said about this, what he said about a panel interview: unless you're hiring brain surgeons, a panel interview shouldn't be necessary. The fact that 8 different people in a company need to interview one person for one position is pure insanity. It's one thing if you're hiring a CEO for a Fortune 100, but otherwise 8 is way too much. Okay. Something's broken in that company if it's necessary.
Yeah. I had a company, they had 23 people on the final Zoom interview out of a 75-person company.
Wow.
Best part is
a third of the organization shows up to judge
talk
this
about
dude.
A waste of money, right?
How'd they make the decision? Did they have Democratic voting?
This is the best part. They ended up after them doing the search for months and months and months. They ended up not hiring anyone. They ended up firing the CRO and then bringing in a guy they met 6 months earlier on their own.
So, did you get paid? You didn't get paid.
I got a retainer on it, so I got something.
Good for you. That's one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. They brought in 23
dumbest things I've ever heard.
Yeah. How much do you think they spent on that one call? It was probably an hour.
Exactly.
So the salaries of 23 people for 1 hour.
This is the problem when the companies get too much funding. They just waste money.
Why didn't you tell them, hey, jerk?
Well, it's
I'm
not
gonna
their
work with
money,
you.
so it's okay.
Well, because my contact was the CRO, not the CEO. And so the CRO, I ended up, placing the CRO at a competitor. So,
okay. That's another question I had. These things are moving into each other very well today. Okay. This solo recruiter, he's got it might be a she, I can't remember, a guarantee that if somebody leaves within 90 days, he'll do another search and replace the person. Okay. So he says, finally it happened. Somebody left. And so he said, I'll replace them. And in 4 days, he found somebody even better than the person who left, a better candidate. But by then, they decided to bring in one of the boss's sons to do that job, something like that. And so they hired their own candidate and said they want to use that credit for the next search they give him. And he's very upset about that. Anybody got some? I think rightfully so. He did the second search that he had promised. He brought in a candidate. Anybody want to comment?
It depends on the company and your relationship. Is it a good company? It just didn't, go right, or how much time did you really spend on it? I've got a client now. We did a search for him. They ended up bringing their own person in 2 weeks after we started the search, and for a senior level person. And then he's like, hey, you know what? We're going to bring our own person in. And it's like, hey, but we're going to have this other opening. Do you mind rolling it over? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? The guy's a nice guy. It's a good company.
So you worked for nothing for how long?
I worked it on contingent essentially, but I got, $7,500 up front, 10 grand. What was it? Yeah.
Oh, okay. You had a retain or a deposit. Okay. But what if it was pure contingent? Then you would have worked for nothing and they would have taken away your opportunity.
Oh, if it was like a replacement? Oh, no, I would not do that.
Well, what if they hired somebody on their own after you went out and did the replacement search? That's the question.
It depends
on the company. If they're going to give you lots of searches, you'll swallow it. Okay, Michael G. Cox?
It's a business decision.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened very much.
Okay, it hasn't happened much to this guy. You don't want to say what he should do. Fine, okay. You don't want to say.
Okay. Okay, so he should have, I'm sure it was in his contract. The one thing that I've noticed in a lot of contracts that I have seen is they never mention, when they say we'll replace, they never mention how many times. So you could be leaving this
one replacement.
Exactly. I'm not surprised, but there are many that don't state one-time replacement, because then they say, hey, that guy didn't work out, let's do it again. So that's you got to be careful.
Okay, so the second candidate is not subject to replacement. The guarantee is not endless.
If you lose 2 candidates for the same role, there's got to be something else going on. I mean, it's pretty
your
rare.
fault, not mine, buddy.
Well, there's got to be something going on with the company.
Would you ever have the guts?
So you provided a panel of candidates twice. They made 2 selections. They liked 2 people enough to make them offers and make that investment. And something's happening there.
Yeah, you brought me 2 losers. That's what the company's going to say.
Why did you hire 2 losers?
Yeah, exactly. Great
I
question.
trusted you. That's why I looked at you. Said these are good
You had
candidates.
7 interviews. You did 7 interviews. 7 people in your company interviewed these people multiple times.
23 people on the last
23
interview.
Yeah, exactly.
23 people voted on them. They got unanimous decisions.
We spent $1 million interviewing, and we still hired a loser. God.
Yeah. Okay. Here, Rich mentioned something that we just let it fly by. He said age becomes an issue. Okay. How many years of experience does age become an issue? 15 years?
55.
It's not years of experience. It's years of life.
Years of life, yes.
Yeah.
55.
They're kind of coincidence, right?
In software, it's like 45 for one of these companies.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Michael G. Cox. So if the person is 40 years old and they have 15 years experience, that's not a problem.
It depends on the level of position. I said 55 because I've got several examples in my brain of VPs of sales that are just above 55 years of age and are struggling to find that next VP of sales position. The most recent one was looking for like 9 months, just landed his next gig 2 weeks ago. Great organization, huge organization, and he's going to hold on to that thing like his life depended on it because he doesn't want to go through that again. Now, if it's a lower position, let's say an individual contributor type position, 40, you start being negatively discriminated against based on your
Why?
age.
Because of money? Because they want too much money?
Yeah, just because
No, it's part of that, but they also start thinking some crazy shit like, well, this guy's never advanced.
Yeah.
Must be a loser. He's been in the same level of position, individual contributor as a senior account executive in the same industry for 15 years.
Yeah.
What's that?
They forget the guy may have made $500,000 a year. Or
well, exactly, because the people that
the
people that are forgetting that are sales managers and sales leadership executives they think that this guy's broken because he chose to stay at a individual contributor level.
Well, what kills me is you get they're not hungry, they're not hunters, they just and I'm like, if you're 50 years old, you probably have 2 kids or so getting near college age or in college. You're paying $1.2 million out of pre-tax to pay for 4 years of school for 2 kids. I'm like, how the hell aren't you hungry?
Yeah.
If you're not hungry at 50, you probably weren't hungry at 20, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with that. And then you start thinking another thing that let's say I've heard maybe. Well, how many more years does he really have in him?
It matters in software.
Like it matters. Like your turnover isn't 100% over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Wait a sec.
Everybody.
There's a couple of issues here. Okay. First of all, I'm wondering if you guys press back and say, look, this is a good candidate. Doesn't matter how old he is. Don't be prejudiced. Don't be narrow-minded. Do you ever say that? That's number one. Secondly, what is it exactly that they think this 50-year-old person or 55-year-old person, they don't stay current, or can't they tell that in an interview if the person really knows their stuff?
You're trying to rationalize irrational thoughts. And so we can't.
Are
even
they
have that
irrational?
argument.
So you're saying it's just an irrational bias.
They're just bad hires. If you're a bad, like for us, we both play sales guys. If you're a bad rep at 50, you probably were a bad rep at 30. All right.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you're a rep, the good reps, the top 5%, they're get excited when they're making $400,000 or $500,000, $1 million, but they're never satisfied. They're still hungry. The guy that's making 250, which in our space is not that fantastic. It's very general, very average.
Rich, this started with you saying that age is an issue. I don't think you would present.
It is an issue, but it's not my
No, not an issue for you. It's an issue for your clients. So I don't think you would. Now you're saying that somebody who's 55 is a loser, right?
No, I'm just saying the exact opposite.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anything? Do you guys have any burning topics that you'd like to talk about?
No.
Oh, and by the way, I do say something. I get a little worked up about this, and then when I hear that kind of a BS response as to why they don't want to talk to a guy, I say something, and
You should call
it's
him
very annoying.
a racist. Even if it's ageist, that's the
What
most
do you
painful.
what do you say to them, Michael?
Well, if I'm fairly chummy with the individual by now, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? You're not going to move forward with this guy because you think that he's not going to have it in him to last another 5-10 years, whereas your typical turnover for a first year rep is about 12 to 18 months. So you'd be lucky if he stayed around for a year, and you're concerned about him not lasting 5 to 10 years.
I mean, that's like 20-year-old thinking when they say that stuff. It's like,
Stupid.
I mean, the problem is most of these hiring managers are just fending for their own job, and they don't want to push the rock up the hill. So, you know, and half of our job is making sure our managers look good, and they don't want to fight. They don't want to use the political capital, you know?
Yeah. So anything that is on the fringes of this very narrow line of what they're looking for requires that capital. Well, he's a little long in the tooth, but you know, that's capital that they're going to have to burn.
Yeah. So like I got this client, they want someone that's been they're like, oh, you should have plenty of candidates that haven't jumped around. They haven't had more than 3 jobs in the last 10 years, and they're in the 30 to 40 years old. Shouldn't be a problem. All right. Which literally is like 90, that eliminates 99% of the population.
Yep.
You know, and then they wonder why they haven't found people. So
good luck, Mister, without me. Okay, that's the answer. That's what comes in there. Okay,
that's the attitude you need, baby.
Yeah. Okay. What about this guy? It's a guy. I remember this one. He said that staffing is the most demanding kind of recruiting, but it's also the most rewarding financially. Anybody got an opinion about that? Maybe you've actually been in staffing, haven't you? You were running around recruiting people with by putting flyers on their cars or something.
Yes. And the owner of that organization, let's say he's got about 10 locations across Texas. And one of his sites is busting out $1 million a month.
Well,
because they're billing on, it was something like 10,000 to 15,000 hours per week.
Yeah.
So that stuff adds up real quick.
Yeah.
So you agree with him, Rich, or you got nothing to say about it?
No, it's a great business model. I mean, it's just a different model.
Yeah.
Very different. It's a hustle.
Okay.
You can't it can't be above you to go out and try and work to find, 25 general labor individuals for 25 jobs that you got to fill tomorrow.
But even if you do contract staffing, for like engineers or whoever, I mean, you get 5, 10, 50. Like I did a one contract stint like 20 some odd years ago, and I was making like $75 an hour. And then the company, I think, was making like 120. I mean, so they were making, nearly $50 an hour off of me. It's a great business. You got a half a dozen guys like that out.
But it's not a business you chose to go into. Okay, I got another question. Okay. Quote, I put a candidate forward for a role back in May. Okay. The company interviewed him and they didn't take him any further. I just found out that he's working there in a completely different role. Would you approach the company even though it's a completely different role?
I mean, how different? And I would, because the contract states you're owed. But
yeah,
I mean, we're talking. The guy went to go like.
For how long? How long do you say if they hire? 6 months after you presented the person?
Mine's a year.
You can talk to that person. Is that your kid or your wife?
My wife. You want to say that's Spenderella?
Yeah, sure. You got the nerve to say that on the show? No wonder he's making so. She's driving you. She's your inspiration. She's your goddess, your muse there. Okay.
There you go.
She is the stick.
Yeah,
now we know. Now we know. Spenderella. Okay. It's always. I don't know who said this. It's always a red flag when the candidate wants to reschedule the start date. It's not even the interview, it's the start date. Anybody does ever happen?
I've got a guy that just accepted an offer and he is starting, I believe like the 27th of September. So
what was your question? 4-week start date, 4-week lead time.
He was supposed to start on like the 6th, which
Yeah.
is Monday, this coming Monday, and he moved it to the 27th. So we'll see.
Isn't
that's
it Labor Day there on Monday? It's Labor
Yeah.
Day.
Okay,
The
the
holiday.
7th. My apologies.
I tell my clients, because I've had a bunch of deals fall apart because if anything longer than 2 weeks in this market is just insane. It's too risky. I mean, I had a client they thought they were being generous. The guy like, oh yeah, you can start when you want. The guy's like, well, I can start in 3 weeks. They got a $50,000 raise for this guy, a 50% pay increase.
Nice.
I'm like, why aren't you just running over there to wash the guy's car and everything? He's like, well, I got a $10,000 commission coming to me. And I'm like, your deal's not closed yet. And you're going to wait. So he's like, well, and then he's like, I'm going to move it up. And then we hang up and I find out on Monday, the guy moved the deal back to start the 20th. I'm like, so it's like 3 weeks plus away. And I told the client, I'm like, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, to let the guy sit around. I'm like, you better send him, start sending him some company swag, send him and his wife out for dinner, send him his laptop, get him locked in. But I'm like, anything more than 2 weeks in this market, you are just crazy. It's so risky.
How do you present that? You get the client says, okay, I'm going to send him and his wife for dinner. How do you do that?
Just like that. It's like, hey, Mr. Client, you got to make sure you get the wife happy, get him on board. You got to do something, send him a company swag bag, send him, like I said, dinner.
Swag bag, who cares? Dinner and
matter.
stuff
But
like that.
those are the hooks, man.
Yeah, it just gets them like, hey, these guys are nice guys, and that you're not just some other Oracle Salesforce, monkey they're just sucking you in like another widget, So,
Okay.
Drizzly.
What
Drizzly,
time is
there
it?
you go.
We got 6 minutes left. We can end right now, or we can ask another question. Another question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Conversational interviewing. This same recruiter that I was the super one, she said, having a conversation is often just talking about random things, blah, blah, blah. She likes conversational interviews. I've read that conversational interviews are the worst way to assess a candidate. They have to be highly structured. Anybody got a comment on that? I used to think they were good. The candidate comes back and said, "Oh yeah, we just talked about the business for an hour, and I enjoyed it and stuff like that." And
why does it have to be one or the other? I think, especially in sales, you have to have at least one of the conversational interviews, because you got to find out the emotional intelligence of this individual and see if they can hold a decent conversation about something that has something or nothing to do with the industry, with the organization. It's kind of measuring the individual's
hold
level
on a
of
second.
personability.
They got
Go
to
ahead.
have some emotional IQ about them. They got to be able to have a conversation and be able to read between the lines on things. So I don't.
Okay, but
I don't,
if it's some techie that you're saying this is just for sales candidates, some techie, you don't have to worry if they can have a conversation.
yeah, mine are all customer facing, so they've got to have. They've got to have some
But here's the issue, and hers are technical candidates, by the way. But here's the issue: if you've got, let's say, 3 candidates, how can you assess them if you've got these rambling, random kind of conversations, as opposed to
rambling's a flag.
What's the difference between conversational and rambling? Let's define that.
This is a conversation. Someone that's got verbal diarrhea is rambling. That's just, it's this intense detail about every little aspect. I mean, I always tell these guys, I'm like, listen, dude, I have ADD, and so do most of my clients. So you need to cut it off like you're from the Northeast. 30 seconds more, that's it. No, unless it's a really detailed answer they're looking for, you got a 30-second max.
And you warn them about, is that your standard interview prep?
That's during my conversation with them half the time when I'm just doing discovery call with the candidate.
The
screening call.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Okay, he's from, wait a second, Michael G. Cox is from a part of the country where they got these guys who like to have long rambling conversations.
Texas channel, Michael, how bad is talking to a guy from Texas who does an alliance or channel program? It's like they start telling you about their great grandmother and their old cat.
Yeah, and try cutting them off.
Oh my God. Oh, they're the worst.
So most of my initial screens are like 15 minutes max. Literally, the time that they get on my calendar is 15 minutes. That's it. And half of that is just shooting the breeze and having a quick conversation, because I know where they've been. I know the positions that they're in, and if they've been there for a significant amount of time, I
Michael's
know.
saying if you're long, the only thing you have to do is get the for sales, it's who they sold, what they sold, and how they did, and then why they left.
Okay, hold
That's all
on a
you need.
sec. You know what? This is actually with the two of you guys here. It would have been good if I would have thought of it to have something specifically about how to hire a sales candidate. We would have gone through the stuff that Rich just mentioned. However, 15 minutes, is that your max? You have such a big understanding of what they're doing already. You understand the context of the search. You don't have any mystery. So you only do a 15-minute interview with your candidate, Michael G. Cox, before you send them out to the candidate. You don't spend an hour with the candidate.
Dude, I don't have that much time. And I don't know if I had that much time. Like I had one job that I've got to work on.
Yeah.
Lots of people say interview prep is the key to the placement. You're saying no, it isn't. Okay, that's what I'm hearing.
I do interview prep. I'm talking about the initial conversation is 15 minutes. I can gather enough information to quickly put together this is why you need to be talking
And
to
then
this
how
individual.
much do you talk to the candidate again before she goes out?
If I do an interview quick prep conversation, and I don't all the time, most times I don't, it'll be like max 5 minutes.
So this really is 20 minutes, you just spend 20 minutes talking to your candidate. Is that essentially what he said? Rich, what about you?
Yeah, it's not that different. I mean, I've placed almost 40 people already this year. All right. It's by doing the exact same thing. It's how I've done it forever. You don't need, I mean, listen, this candidate you're going to spend more time with just because they're fun, they're nice or whatever sometimes, or they're just a senior level. It's a more senior level role than say a rep, but there's no need to spend an hour. And I see these recruiters who write these, full page biographies on these candidates. Like, you basically just rewrite the resume. Total waste of time.
Some of them don't send resumes; they send their own notes. They think it's better.
Which I think is also wrong because the client's going to say, "Where's the resume?" I've never had a client, who didn't want a LinkedIn profile or a resume. He didn't want my version of their resume. And even if you do that, it opens up you to a lot of other issues. But
errors and omissions.
Okay.
Exactly.
I thought it was a good show. With the guest, I didn't know if he was coming. He came. He disappeared. I still thought it was, and he wanted to talk about patents. I still thought it was a good show. The salesrecruiter.com. Raise your hand so they know which one of you is the sales recruiter.
To the three of you that are watching
right
this
here.
in 2030.
Hold on. I'll tell you something. I will get around to editing these things. And once I do isolate these little bits, it is going to be the most popular recruiting video stuff. Although I got to tell you,
Pull my hair a little bit. Hey, Rich, comb your hair, man.
I got a clip. I have a clip from Rich from 4 or 5 years ago on cold calls, and it's only 2 minutes long. It's terrific, and nobody's ever raved about it, so maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Oh, come on.
It's terrific. It's terrific. Okay, I will stand by that. I've rarely heard anything better in the recruiting world. There you go. Thanks, everybody. Have a good end of summer.